During the World Cup, billions of people enter a highly predictable psychological state, and betting companies, digital platforms, and algorithms know exactly how to exploit this. People are spending more money. They lose self-control. They sleep less. They take impulsive risks. They make decisions they would never normally make. And the most disturbing thing, the more emotional you become, the more profitable you become. The World Cup is not just about passion. It influences human behavior. And perhaps your brain is already being manipulated without you realizing it. Because there is an invisible war going on. A silent battle for your attention. Because of your dopamine. Because of their behavior. And most people don't even realize they've already entered the game. During major sporting events, something strange happens to the human brain. Crowds are starting to think the same way, to feel the same way, react in the same way. It's as if millions of people simultaneously entered the same emotional state. And that's no accident. Thousands of years ago, belonging to the group meant surviving. Tribes celebrated together. They fought together. They suffered together. The human brain evolved by creating extremely powerful chemical mechanisms to reinforce a sense of collective belonging. Today, the World Cup activates exactly the same ancestral circuits. But now, there's something new. Algorithms, artificial intelligence, platforms designed to transform human emotion into profit. While you celebrate a goal, systems are observing your behavior. While you feel the adrenaline rush, apps are studying your impulsivity. While crowds celebrate, companies calculate how much your attention might be worth. And there's a specific reason why this intensifies during the World Cup. Because collective emotion reduces rational resistance. When the brain enters intense emotional states, the areas responsible for control and rational decision-making begin to lose strength. Meanwhile, systems linked to reward, risk, and impulsivity become hyperactive. That's exactly why during big games they bet more, they consume more, they buy more, they take on greater financial risks. And perhaps the most frightening thing is this. Modern companies understand this vulnerability perfectly. Betting apps don't just function as platforms. They function as machines for psychological stimulation. Notifications flashing in real time. Odds changing every second. Instant bonuses. Fast rewards. Lights. Cores. Urgency. Everything is designed to keep your brain emotionally activated. Because an emotional brain is much easier to predict. But what happens behind the scenes is even more sophisticated. Today, algorithms are able to detect how long you spend looking at the screen. Which emotions capture your attention? What types of content increase impulsivity? When you are most vulnerable? When you are most likely to spend? Their behavior during the World Cup generates data. And this data is worth billions, because predicting human behavior has become one of the most lucrative industries on the planet. Perhaps that's why betting ads seem to follow you around during major sporting events. Perhaps that's why social media becomes more emotionally aggressive. Perhaps that's why everything seems more intense. Because modern systems have discovered something extremely valuable. Collective emotion creates highly predictable consumers. And the more predictable you become, the easier it is to monetize your behavior. The financial system understands this perfectly. During periods of collective emotional excitement, people tend to use their credit card more often, impulsive buying, and spend more than usual. Take more risks, reduce self-control. And this creates enormous opportunities for banks, digital platforms, betting companies, and advertisers. Because emotion moves money. But there's something even darker going on. Modern systems no longer compete solely for your money. They compete for your mental state, your attention, your focus, your time, and your dopamine. And perhaps your ancestral brain was never designed to cope with modern digital systems, especially during emotionally charged global events. Because the more emotional you become, the less rational you become. And the less rational you become, the more predictable your behavior becomes. Perhaps that's why the betting industry explodes during the World Cup. Perhaps that's why companies invest billions in sports advertising. Perhaps that's why apps know exactly when to send notifications. Because collective emotion creates the perfect conditions for behavioral manipulation. The World Cup is not just changing the way people watch sports, she is changing how the brain reacts to consumption, risk, and reward. And the most dangerous thing is not gambling. It's not spending money. It's not about consuming. The most dangerous thing is not realizing that your behavior is being studied in real time. Because while you believe you're just watching football, entire systems are learning exactly how to control your attention. Perhaps the World Cup was never just about sports. Perhaps it is a demonstration of how emotions can be transformed into profit. And perhaps that's the real competition happening right before your eyes. If you've made it this far, then you've probably realized one thing. The World Cup was never just about football. It's all about attention, behavior, and emotion, and about how modern systems have learned to turn human psychology into profit. So subscribe to the channel, because the next videos will reveal things that most people never realize, even though they live within them every day. And I want to identify who is truly awake. Then just comment with one word: awake. Without explanation. Without context. Just that word. Because while billions watch the game, few realize that they are also being watched. And perhaps that's the difference between those who consume the system and who can see through it.